Hello and welcome once again to the Foxfire Farmhouse.
Welcome, welcome.
We're glad that you stumbled in here once again on this beautiful spring day.
Yeah.
And we're glad to have you join us for another talk about movies, about music, about video games,
all the fun things,
about storytelling with digital media.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for stumbling in here today once again. We have some movie news.
All the movie news.
What's been going on in the world of movies this week?
Oh man, so many things. There's a
movies
lot of
have been in the news. Like there's been some good news this time.
Good, great
movies.
news.
Yeah.
Some slapstick news, I guess. Some stuff that's hot off the press.
Yeah. So the best
as of last night.
Yeah. Will Smith
just
decided to
smacking Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Good old open palm.
Oh man, just waylaid him.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know why, but it just gives you, like, I don't know what this means, but I thought it was good. I was like, good job, Will Smith.
Good job for what?
I don't know. Like he was just trashing his wife on the stage, and so he's just like,
well, Will Smith trashes his own wife, so that's okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's hard when a man is in an open marriage or whatever their arrangement
whatever
is.
they call it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to take a man seriously when he talks about standing up for his wife.
Yeah.
So I'm there for the memes though.
Yeah, all the memes.
The memes are what the best. What was that one you told me just a minute ago?
The police dusted Chris Rock's face, and they found Fresh Prince.
Oh, that's so good.
It just made. There's so many more memes. I'm sure you guys can shoot them in the comments.
Oh yeah, you should. One I saw was that this isn't the first time that someone's lost their temper and smote the rock. So it just good old Bible humor.
It's real good.
Yeah, there's a lot of good memes out there.
Poor Chris Rock's face.
Yeah, poor guy. He took it well though, man.
Yeah, he took it really well.
I was shocked. Like he didn't get upset. He didn't get mad. He just
that makes me think he's been slapped quite a lot in his life. If this is really real, he's probably been slapped many times.
This isn't new to him.
Yeah, no, and he'll just milk it for a bit.
Oh yeah,
in his stand up for forever.
But we'll milk it in memes for generations.
Yes, please.
Yes. In other movie news this week, Disney employees have responded to Bob Chapek's own response to the misnamed "Don't Say Gay" bill down in Florida. So
the response to the response.
Yeah.
To the response.
There's this "Don't Say Gay" bill that people are talking about that really is just saying that doesn't have the word "don't saying gay" in it. It's just saying that we don't want the public schools to be teaching our kids about gender identity until they've hit puberty, basically. I forget the exact age. I think it's 10, I believe, that the bill actually says. But until they hit puberty, we don't want anyone talking to them about gender identity.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, till your kids hit puberty, you really would rather not have anyone talking to them about sexual matters. You'd rather be the one that has that opportunity. Down. Yeah. So this is a pretty common sense bill, especially in the face of the craziness of our sexual revolution and our over-sexualized culture. And so Disney came back, and some of the employees in Disney were upset that there was not some kind of public stance being taken by the Disney Corporation against this. And so in response to that, Bob Chapek came out and basically said, we're sorry that we haven't been listening. We're going to do better. And really kind of giving the finger to all of his conservative employees. And so the conservative employees lashed back saying, hey, listen, basically, we're actually the majority of people, like, what's going on? And so there's just been a big battle right now in the Disney sphere.
We're going to see the Disney rent into pieces, which is kind of crazy because it's been on the rise and taking in so many IPs and so many different things, and it would be crazy to see just a lot of the talent and a lot of the people behind the scenes get kind of ripped apart into different areas if this doesn't get resolved, which I don't see a really clear way out of this in which he doesn't lose.
Bob Chapek is already kind of like outside of him being removed and someone else being replaced, where then they can start over fresh and say, okay, we are not going to be ideological. We're going to try to, I mean, it's impossible for you not to be ideological, but there are companies that try to stay out of the stuff. And if they can do that, then maybe they'll survive. So
yeah,
we'll see. But we'll see how it goes and where things go. What is definitely clear in all of this is that Disney does not care about your values, and they actively fight against them.
Yeah.
And so it's going to become increasing. It already is, but it's ever more important to filter Disney. Disney is not just safe out of the gate.
No.
So, go back and watch the 70s and 80s stuff, and that stuff. Number one, you've watched it, so you're familiar with it as parents. But number two, it was in a different age, and it had its own ideologies that were bad.
Yeah.
But they weren't the anti-creational ideologies of today.
Yeah.
So,
it's pretty crazy. But I mean, what's crazy is just the fact that, I mean, they're proving that stories matter, and that's I think that's one of their plug lines. And whenever they have these movies on there they have the content advisory before you go into them, that like this. Have you watched any of those movies like Peter Pan?
Right.
It'll say that we have it on here, and that stories matter, and the impact of stories matter. So they get it, and they know that they're a part of a war almost, in terms of they have a side and they're against the other side, and they think that they're on the right side of history, and they're going to use storytelling to bring everybody into the same side as them.
Yep.
So
indeed. And it's become much more ideologically driven. It's you
can see that with their most recent films.
They are becoming the bad Christian films, just with a satanic bent. So ideological to the core, and not very artful. And so we'll see where it goes in terms of their production. We'll see where it goes. They also just recently, in response to that, said that the new Lightyear movie is going to include a lesbian kiss that apparently got cut from it. So at one point it was there, another point it got cut. Now it's going back in, and so they're saying that that's going to be included now. So now Lightyear, if that's the case, one of the most beloved properties of Toy Story, of Pixar and Disney, is going to be off the table for me and my children. So it's
crazy.
Sad.
Cool things.
So what have you been finding cool this week?
Oh man, this week I've been playing the Spider-Man video game. It's an old one at this point. It came out a couple years ago, and it's just awesome. It's just a really cool game. You're just flying around the city. It gives you everything that you want out of a Spider-Man game. It makes you feel like you're swinging through the city and that you're the hero, and you drop down and you just kick all sorts of criminal booty. It feels like a real descendant of Spider-Man 2, the old Spider-Man 2 game. Yeah, no, they listened, because every Spider-Man game hasn't had the swinging mechanic. They've all just you just web into the sky. This one, they actually, if there's no buildings, you can't web to anything. You can't swing. And so, or if it's a lot lower, you have to swing lower than going up higher. Whereas the other ones, you could be out in Central Park and you could be going up to the same height as Empire State Building. It's really weird, but
that's how I remember as a kid playing Spider-Man 1. Spider-Man 1 was like that, and I was like, this is fun, it's playing Spider-Man. And then Spider-Man 2 came out, and it was like, wait a second, we're swinging on the buildings. This is what I want.
It's so cool. Is how and it makes you feel that momentum mechanically. Like the physics are really legit. Good. So you get the swing, and it's just a fun one. Just run around. The story is pretty good. But as far as you going from place to place and fighting criminals in between and doing all these checkpoints and stuff, I just throw on music while I'm floating around.
Nice.
I throw on some Trip Lee, some awesome Christian rap, some Tadashi, and a bunch of other people, and it's a lot of fun to kick some butt and listen to some good rap.
That's awesome.
Yeah. How about you?
Me? I have been enjoying birthdays. My daughter had a birthday this week.
Oh, snap.
I love how excited kids get about their presents, about a day, a celebration, a cake, right? It's just the coolest thing in the world to enjoy that with my kid.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. And so that's what I've been enjoying. We've still been enjoying cake. I've still got the last piece. My family ate cake today at lunch.
Yeah.
And the last piece is waiting for me. and I decided not to eat it so that I wouldn't be in like a sugar crash at this very moment.
Yeah.
So
there
when this podcast is done, I'm going to, a big sacrifice for the Foxfire Farmhouse podcast.
There you go. Just for you, the audience.
Yeah. It's not really a sacrifice. It's just delayed gratification. So
there you go.
Yep.
Makes it sweeter.
But let's hurry up and get this done so I can go eat my cake.
Okay, fine.
And now, our feature presentation.
So today, we are back.
Back at it again.
Another casting. We are going to cast another Bible story from the book of Judges. Not another one from the book of Judges. Our last one wasn't from Judges. We're going to cast a Bible story.
It's an alternate dimension.
So we're going to cast the story of Samson today.
Yep.
So this one has been a particularly difficult one for me. It was huge. It's a big story.
It's a big story in more ways than one. You got like one of the most manly, muscly, in your brain kind of characters. Like a character who's kind of larger than life, goes out there, slays people with a donkey's jawbone.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Like, he's so cool. Kills a lion with his bare hands like Hercules, but even cooler than Hercules.
Even better.
Yeah.
And so, like, let's just recount the story very quickly.
Very quickly. Oh man.
So I'm just gonna hit the high points. We're not gonna really recount the story. Birth. An angel comes and tells his mom and dad, "Hey, you're gonna have a baby, and this baby is gonna be a Nazarite from the womb, which means he can't have touch anything dead. He can't have fruit of the vine, and he cannot have a razor come to his hair. He can't cut his hair."
Yep.
Those are the three stipulations of the Nazarite vow, and that, as I understand it, is that he's set aside for some kind of mission or purpose.
You can't touch dead things?
I did, yeah.
Okay, good.
So I think it's those three things, and apparently, so correct me. Do you know much more about the Nazarite vow? I think that people could take it for a period of time.
A short period of time, yeah.
Yeah, but Samson is different because his life is a Nazarite.
Yeah, his parents are visited by an angel and tells him, like, this is it. That's what you must do.
So then they have a baby, of course.
Yeah.
He grows up. He's of course, this is the setting of the book of Judges. The Israelites are kind of under the oppression of the Philistines.
Every story has like that Star Wars credit roll where it's like, the people have again forsaken the Lord and gone to the paths of the wicked.
We've done it again. Samson, a Star Wars story. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
We should just make this a Star Wars universe.
That would, if I have a little bit more thought, we could totally do that.
And every Bible stories just have it on different planets.
Yeah, you just have lightsabers instead of a donkey's jawbone, or it's like shaped. You have like the jawbone of like a rancor.
Oh yeah.
With a lightsaber coming out of it. Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
It's so cool. Let's do this. Disney, you're horribly corrupt, and we don't agree with you, but you should make this.
But in some way, well, we'll get to that stuff later. But so then he goes to get married to a Philistine. He's seeking an opportunity against them, and so he's going to marry this Philistine girl. At the wedding celebration, which is a big celebration for multiple days, multiple weeks even, he tells a riddle. So on the way down to get married, he kills a lion. The lion attacks him. He just rips it to shreds.
Yep. A couple days later,
he goes down, takes his mom and dad down there, shows them the daughter, says, "This is who I'm going to marry." They're like, "Okay." Start making preparations. He's coming back, and that's when he finds honey.
There's honey inside that carcass of a lion.
I mean, it would have had to been
it was like 3 days or something like that.
These bees were really intense, man.
I don't know. I was gonna look into that, but I didn't go into it and be like,
there's a lot of details this film is gonna have to flesh out before we know what we're doing. Yeah, so there's these bees that have made a hive, that there's honey in this lion. So he eats some of the honey. He takes some and gives it to his mom and dad.
Touches of course, the dead animal.
He's touching dead animals. He's all up in their business.
Strike one.
Boom. And then he goes and marries this girl. He tells them a riddle and says, out of the eater came something to eat. And out of the, how's the rest of it go?
Oh, goodness.
And out of the something came something sweet.
Yeah.
So it's out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the, not bitter.
Something strong.
Yeah, something strong came. Yeah, I think out of the strong came something sweet.
Yeah.
And so he says, if you solve this riddle, I'll give you 30 pieces of clothing and 30 shekels of silver. And if you solve it, if you don't solve it, then all of you have to give me a piece. So which ends up being 30 pieces of silver and 30
each
changes of raiments. Yeah. So he's going to cash out big. So then they aren't figuring it out.
No, they get very upset.
They go to his wife and are like, you better get him to tell you, and then you're going to tell us. And so she does.
Or we'll burn your house down and your father's house and you and your father inside of it.
They're pretty violent. And so then she tells them the riddle. And then there's a great line in there where he's like, if you hadn't plowed with my heifer, you wouldn't have figured this out.
Yeah, basically. It was story. I heard that line and I was like, oh man.
Yeah, and so then he goes, so what's next?
So after that,
he goes to get the stuff.
Yeah, and so he goes, he gets upset, and then I think he takes out the 30 guys.
Yeah, he's got to pay these guys, and he doesn't have anything to pay them with.
Yeah,
so he's like, I'm gonna go kill some Philistines.
I think that's when he strikes them from hip to thigh.
Yeah, he just beats them.
He beats them barehanded. All 30 of these Philistine men.
Just goes, takes on 30 guys and just kills them.
And then like gets all angry and goes away, and then. His father-in-law gives his wife to his best man. Yeah,
talk about a real screwball, man.
And then Samson comes back all like with his young goat. He's like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I've come to be with my wife." And the father-in-law is like, "Oh no!
Oh man, I didn't realize you were coming back.
I forgot.
I actually gave him to. Yeah. Sorry,
you can have my younger daughter. Isn't she beautiful?" And he goes, "Now I have a reason to kill all of you." And he just goes off the rails.
Yeah, so he gets how many foxes? A lot of foxes.
He gets 500 foxes, I believe is
the number. Tails together?
Yeah, with a torch in between.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's nuts.
And then lets them into the open fields.
Where did he get the foxes?
I don't know.
Like, this is stuff.
That's what I was just wondering.
The movie has to figure this stuff out because, like,
I just like a scene where he's just like, "Hey, come on, come."
Yeah, he's just like catching foxes for weeks.
I imagine the Lord probably just like gave him a field of foxes, and he just walked into the field and was like, "I have an idea."
Yeah. Maybe he's a fox farmer. I don't know.
Oh, Foxfire! Yeah. Literally Foxfire.
No, we did it. It's come. All right. Peak
this
Foxfire.
This is the meaning of Foxfire.
Yeah.
We're gonna burn down the Philistine fields with this podcast.
I love it. Oh, that's a better meeting. We have two meetings to the show.
We're gonna burn down the Philistine fields of the world.
We're gonna burn them down, baby.
Yeah. And
this
then
is what we're doing.
The Philistines get upset, and they're like to the man from Timnah, or the Timite person, his father-in-law, and they burn him and his wife, Samson's wife, in their house. And Samson goes, "Okay, like I will make an end of this, and I will kill all of you guys." And I might be getting confused, but I believe that's the jawbone. Is that the jawbone fight?
Yes, I believe so.
That's the jawbone fight where he kills 1,000 Philistines with a donkey's jawbone.
Right, a fresh one.
A fresh one goes, "Hey, there's a dead donkey. I'm gonna grab a jawbone. I'm gonna slay all of you, and then just say, hi, I'm Samson. I killed 1,000 men with a donkey's jawbone," and then drops the jawbone. Like he does like the cool like after kill like Arnold does. Where he goes, "Oh, he's dead tired," like just walks away, just like boom. Anyway,
so then after the jawbone,
then you have a break.
Then a little bit of a break. He finds a prostitute. He goes into her, but while he's in at her place, the Gazites say to the Philistines, "Hey, Samson's here." So they surround the place. So that they're gonna keep quiet all night, and in the morning they're gonna kill him. But Samson doesn't wait till morning. He wakes up at midnight and he goes out,
carries the gates of the city.
He picks up the gates of the city. Again, the images here, I'm just like, what in the world does this even look like? He's got the gates of the city on his back and just walks up the hill and puts them up on the top of the hill.
Oh yeah.
So they wake up and their city gates are gone, which is like their only protection. They are totally vulnerable.
Yep.
I mean, it's insane.
It's so cool.
Then he meets Delilah.
Oh boy. And we all know the song.
And he's seduced by her, But then the Philistines begin to use her, and they want her to try to see where his strength lies. So something that's interesting that was pointed out to me or our pastor pointed out to me an article that he had read that kind of made this case that, like, so first story, there's a Philistine woman that he's marrying. When they want to get the Philistine woman to help, they say, we will kill you or else, so you better help. Yeah. In this case, they say, hey, we're going to pay you, which is odd, right? Like, why don't they just threaten to kill her too? Another thing is that immediately after this story, there's another story about a woman who has that exact amount of silver, who then hires a traveling priest to be her son's priest.
Yeah, that's why I was going to bring that up. Yeah, it's crazy because I swooped over and I was like, that's the same amount of silver that was in the last story.
And so it's very likely that this woman is actually a Jewish woman.
Delilah?
Yeah. That she's actually a Jewish woman, and that's why they have to pay her. That's why they're not threatening to kill her, because she's not one of their own. They don't want to upset the peace. Yeah. And so it's very possible this is just one of his own women, right?
We also missed when the Israelites bound him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a little part.
Was that before the gates?
That was in the middle, yeah.
Or was that before the donkey? Let me see. I'm pulling it. It was before the donkey, actually.
Before the donkey, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually after that he kills him. So, yeah. So before the donkey thing, the Philistines come to Lehi, to the city, and they say, we want Samson. You better bring him out to us. So the people of Lehi are like, dude, you're upsetting the peace. And they go to Samson. Yeah. Come on, man.
Aren't they the tribe of, they're Judah, like they're men of Judah, right?
Yeah. That's how they describe them. I can confirm that, yeah. But
I believe so.
Yeah, let's look it up. Yep, men of Judah. Yep. So, like, the men of Judah come to Samson and say, Samson, listen, you're upsetting the peace here, and you need to go down there and turn yourself in, because if you don't, they're going to attack us, and we want our life to be comfortable, and you've been messing things up, so, you need to reap the consequences of your actions. And Samson says, you promise me that you won't come against me, and I'll turn myself in. Basically, I don't want to kill you for being in my way. Yeah. I'm ready to kill them. Yeah. And so they tie him up.
He's sitting in the mountains waiting to see what the Philistines are going to do.
Yeah. So they tie him up. They take him down, because this is after the whole fox thing. They take him down, turn him into the Philistines. And then when he's at the Philistines, he's all tied up, but then the ropes become like flax. They just like threads. And he just rips them right off. And that's when he picks up the jawbone of the donkey and goes down. Yep. So anyway, now fast forward.
Back at it again.
Delilah keeps pressing him, saying, what is the secret to your strength? How do we actually get you to be defeated? He keeps telling her lies, and she keeps setting traps. The Philistines come. She calls out, which, maybe this isn't as self-evidently a trap as we like to think, because we are seeing the story of Delilah, and it looks like, well, Samson, why didn't you get it? Yeah. But it could just be that Samson's regularly being attacked by the Philistines, and he thinks this is just normal. Yeah. And so, anyway, but she does keep tying him up and all this stuff, so it's weird, who knows? Anyway, finally, he tells her that the real secret of his strength, the only thing that he is not yet compromised on, because he's already compromised, he was in the vineyards of Timnah, I think, is where he was in the vineyard. So he's already been around the fruit of the vine. He's already touched the carcass. The only thing that's not happened is the razor come onto his head. And he says, if you cut my hair, my strength is gone. She cuts his hair. He wakes up in the morning, and Philistines are there, and he has no power. They gouge out his eyes, throw him into prison, make him work in the mill, grinding grain, like an animal. Yep. They do that. They're having a big celebration for their god in the temple of Dagon. They are all together. They want to
be entertained.
Let's bring out this champion of the Israelites and show just how powerful we are. Yeah. They bring out Samson. He stands in front of them. He asks the kid leading him, or whoever's leading him, to put him by the pillars of the place. So he stands there. His hair has begun to grow. God gives him strength again, and he pushes the pillars apart. The whole thing tumbles down, and he kills, on that day, more people in his death than in his whole life.
Yeah.
Just insane. I mean, he's already killed a ton of people, so that was quite a lot. He killed a lot of people. Yeah. So, anyway, that's the story of Samson. And then he's dead, and then we move on. And there's all sorts of other biblical subtext and stuff like that, but the point of this is just really to kind of cast the story. So
and we can get into that as we
dive in.
Our ideas.
So, of course, if we're going to cast the story of Samson,
what's the style? What's the director that you're going for?
We got to figure out what we got. So okay, so first of all,
you want to start with Samson or you want to start with director?
Let's start with director. Okay. Because I have first a fantasy pick. Okay. That, couldn't happen actually, but I really would like to see this version of the show. I want to see the Buster Keaton silent film version of Samson. Like slapstick, goofy gags.
Yeah.
Like I want to see him go down, and then, you know, title cards, him courting the woman at the Philistines, and the lion come, and it's like a lion man in a costume. Yeah. You know, I want to see. I don't
know. I feel like Buster Keaton would have actually fought a lion. Like he would have had a lion like attack him, and
he's like, "This is for real. I'm actually just tackling this thing."
Carrying like huge gates anyway, and like they crush him, and he's like, "Oh, my bones are broken. It's okay."
Exactly. Yeah. So I want to see. That's my fantasy pick. That's what I want to see.
That would be crazy. I'll tell you my fantasy pick, which I'll tell you my offshoot, and then we'll get to the real one.
Yeah.
The offshoot was going to be having what's his face? Oh man, I didn't have this one written down, but it was the director of either Ridley Scott or the guy who directed Mad Max.
Oh, George Miller.
I was going to have George Miller direct it, and I was going to do this Badlands style. So take it out of the context, and then take the story, and then put it into like a Mad Max Wild West kind of scenario. Badlands
would be a sweet vibe.
Yeah, it would be awesome, and that kind of reflects kind of some of the tone that I throw into the movie, because it's a lawless time. Like it starts out with that like cool thing. He's a lone figure. Even his own people aren't standing up for themselves. So he's literally
dystopian setup.
Yeah, he's literally the guy. He's the man with no name, but his name is Samson.
That would be sick.
It's so cool.
I would love that.
Yeah,
it should happen.
Anyway, I figured that would have been cool.
So who's your real one? Who's your pick for director?
Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder.
Yeah, I went with a 300 aesthetic.
Nice.
I figured I just saw Samson just like slow motion, like doing like that Leonidas fight, but with a jawbone, and I was like, okay, you got me sold. Like he just has a knack for imagery, like with the Man of Steel, all the Christ type and Christ images that he does, because Samson is a type of Christ, and the life he lives and was supposed to have lived, and his sacrificial death for the people of Israel. Like he's very mirrory of that of Christ's story, and
Snyder can pull off such epic moments. Yeah, and there are so many epic moments in Samson
that's really the beats of the story, is the epic moments. Like there's really not much like nuance, although I'm sure there is nuance, but
you'd build it in if you did a movie.
But I think Snyder would do a good job, and I like that 300 style, because he just gets it when it comes to that stuff.
So I have two. One of them is Zack Snyder. The other one is Guy Ritchie, though. Ooh. But it depends. So, and this will make more sense with when we get to like my different characters who I have, because I don't have a real clear vision in my head of what the movie would be. So it really depends on who, like what actors you put in place, who's running the show, who are the directors, and that's going to shape everything that happens in terms of what the movie looks like. So I have kind of two different threads. So the Guy Ritchie thread is like the Sherlock Holmes, the Legend of the Sword, right? Like that kind of dramatic and epic action movie. And so that's where I'm coming from with that. But so now we have to do Samson, though.
Okay.
So who would you have play Samson?
I had Tom Hardy as Samson.
Nice.
I figured. I mean, he's not like everybody thinks either Jason Momoa, because he has long hair and he's relatively built.
I said that first thing.
Yeah, but I'm like, no, I cannot do that. He's Aquaman. He's too funny. He's too lighthearted.
Although Samson, you would have to kind of have a.
I mean, Samson's kind of like that too. But I went with Tom Hardy because I like. He's done a lot of performances like Bane, where he has like this brutality that's mixed with intelligence, because Samson's also intelligent, even though he's very impulsive. Yeah, he's intelligent. You can just tell by the riddles and the way he's trying to get the upper hand on the Philistines. And so that kind of got me there. And also he played a character in Legend, where he played kind of like this off kilter character, where he's just like can kind of go psycho brutal and just mow through dudes. And so I figured he can pull that off. You just give him some long hair, give him like seven braids. That'd be awesome. And he has 7 braids or 12 braids. It said something like that in the text.
Oh, I don't remember.
Anyway, but yeah, I figured he'd be cool. He's relatively big, but he's not like astronomically large. Yeah. And so you can see that he has to rely upon the strength of the Lord. So yeah, it just kind of shows itself pretty well. And he's a good actor.
He's a really good actor.
Yeah.
And he has that ability to do the, like you were saying, the brutality,
yeah.
but like the unhinged brutality. Of just like he can go off, which is kind of what it seems like Samson's.
That's what I want.
Job description is.
Because the bigger you, like, I feel like the bigger you get, like once you start getting towards The Rock, you start losing quality in acting.
Yeah,
so,
right. You're getting image and
Arnold or whoever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Tom Hardy.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I have two again. So my first one is Winston Duke. So he's M'Baku in Black Panther.
Dude, I was totally gonna pick him.
Yeah, he'd be a sick Samson. Like
that would be so cool.
Awesome.
Yeah,
he just has the physicality, and he's got the. So even I'm thinking in Black Panther, he has that kind of like I don't care mentality that comes off so easy that he's just like I'm doing my own thing.
But he can also go psychoized.
He also plays a character in The Person of Interest, the TV show, and I forgot about that until I was looking. Another one of my characters that I have is from that show. Yeah. So when I looked it up, that's where I remember it.
Do you have Jim Caviezel in that? Did you pick? Okay, I have him for somebody.
Do you really?
Yeah. Anyway, nice. Sorry, continue.
So So anyway, he's just got that ability to like, he's physically built, but he's also got the ability to like kind of be an I don't care, kind of the sitting up in the Lehigh waiting on people to come. You know? The other one would be Carl Urban. So this is the guy who plays Bones in the new Star Trek, or Éomer in The Lord of the Rings, where he has long hair. So if you want to see what he would look like with long hair, there's there's your choice. Yeah.
Is this like present day Carl Urban?
Yeah. So like I think he could pull. He also has that ability to pull off like a grouchy, unhinged guy, which I think could work for Samson.
Somebody with strong emotion.
But that would be more my like Guy Ritchie side of like it's kind of a funner, more unhinged cast and style. So
I like it.
Yeah, those are my options.
Yeah.
So who else did you cast? Because now from there we've got the hero. I guess the one we definitely need to nail down is Delilah. She's another one, and then everyone else kind of is just which ones did you find interesting? So who is your Delilah?
So my Delilah, I picked Monica Baccarin. So she's from Firefly. She's in Deadpool.
Nice.
She just kind of fits the aesthetic.
Cool.
So I don't know. I had a really hard time picking a Delilah, so I just kind of went.
Yeah. Cool. I took Jordana Brewster. She plays Mia Toretto in Fast and Furious. She also plays in the show where I saw her, I guess, first, because I have actually not seen any of the Fast and Furious. Where I saw her first was in the show Lethal Weapon that came out. She was a therapist in there, and she was really good, like really interesting, really down to earth, but the kind that would be
easily kind of
very easily twisted. So
makes sense.
Yeah. So who else did you cast? Like who were your other?
Oh man, I filled in almost every character. I picked Manoa. I picked Kieran Hines for Manoa. He played what's his face in the Nativity Story. He played the one that was hunting after Christ, and I'm trying to remember the character's name. I can't remember it for the life of me.
Yeah. It's
anyway,
been a while since I've seen that.
he's in a lot of movies. He's a pretty good actor. And then Angel of the Lord, I picked Jim Caviezel as a little
nice
theology nod there.
Interesting.
So obviously he would look semi-Christ-like.
That's where I have. That's where I have Michael Emerson, who was the guy who played across from him as the man in the chair in Angel or a Person of Interest. The computer guy. So I had him as being like an angel of the Lord. Unless we go with the Guy Ritchie version, in which I have Samuel Jackson.
Oh yes,
which would be kind of fun.
That would be really fun.
Carl Urban and Samuel Jackson. So would have a angel of the Lord.
Oh my goodness! I'm the angel of the Lord.
It'd be a good one.
And he just steps into the fire. Like that would just be hilarious.
I'm out. Peace.
Yep.
You know?
Just goes into it. The Tim Knight father. I picked Benicio del Toro because he's kind of like that kind of double crossy.
That's awesome.
Like you're like, oh okay, well
that would be fun.
I don't trust you. You're a shady person. I didn't pick anything. Did you pick anybody for the Tim Knight father?
I did not. No, that's not one I nailed.
His wife, I didn't really pick. The companion that takes his wife, I was thinking it would be interesting is if he had a companion that was with him that he knew that was a Philistine that was the one that took his wife, so he knew him previously. Yeah. And so I picked Joel Edgerton because he's a fairly similar build as him, and so it would just be like, it would be no, like on any other circumstance, if he didn't have the strength of the Lord, it would have been an even fight, but he had the Lord with him, so he just wipes the deck with him.
That's cool.
And then the Men of Judah, I picked Toby Kebbell as one of them, the guy who plays Kong. He did the mocap for Kong. He's in Prince of Persia and a bunch of other movies. I thought he would have been great. And just to show like the Men of Judah coming, and just the image of like them being like kind of like that 300, like the Men of Athens, where they look able-bodied. Like you have these able-bodied men who could more than enough take the Philistines, but who don't. Yeah, and they're just kind of like there with their tails tucked between their legs, and before this man who's just righteous and taking care of business for them. I thought that was a really interesting little thing. And then just whoever could be slimy for the Philistine lords. I picked a guy, Jack Huston. He's in Little Things. He was in the House of Gucci, which I watched recently. Wouldn't recommend it. Wasn't very good. But his little side character was so good. He plays like this lawyer character who like starts in the beginning and then like progressively takes over the business, and you don't expect him. It was really cool. Crazy, but really good actor. Could play like a slimy lord. So I was like, perfect.
Sweet.
Yeah. What else do you got?
So I have the first wife of Samson. I have Jodie Comer from Free Guy, recently The Last Duel, but I haven't seen that one. Yeah. But yeah, so I have her. I love the dynamic. I love the interaction between Manoah and his wife. So Manoah's wife is the one who receives the vision first. And then she goes to Manoah and says, "Hey, I had this vision." He's like, "Oh yeah, really? You sure? Well, if he comes back, like, I want to talk to this guy." And so he does come back. She, prays and comes back. And so she goes and gets him. He comes back and says, "Hey, dude, so what's going on?" And he's like, "Well, just what your wife said. Like your wife already told you." And so he's like, "Hey, I'm going to make some food." And he's like, "Well, I can't eat it. And he's like, "Okay, well, let me make it for you." He said, "Well, how about you offer it to the Lord?" So he makes this offering to the Lord. The offering goes up in flames, and the angel of the Lord ascends in it. And Manoah then is like freaked out. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna die. We've seen God." And his wife is like, "No, that's not how this works.
He would have already killed us."
Yeah, right. So I recently watched an episode of Stranger Things, and so that's on my mind. And I would love to see David Harbour and Winona Ryder as the guy in the Guy Ritchie version. I don't know that that's the Zack Snyder style, like the Guy Ritchie version. That would be pretty fun.
Oh goodness!
And then since I was on the Guy Ritchie train, this is the only other one I have is Robert Millay, who's the massive guy that Sherlock fights, that Robert Downey Jr.'s character fights in the shipyard. That's like he's like just a tower of a man. He used to be a WWE wrestler, and I imagine the scene when Samson has lost his bet to the Philistines, that he goes down to the Philistines and there's like this massive guy who is just like trashing somebody, and he, like they're having intercollegiate fights, and he's just killing one of his own men. He's just brutal. And then like that is where we first see Samson's strength, is like we've seen him take on a lion, but we haven't seen him fight a guy, and here he's got like a real enemy coming against him, and he just like destroys him. Like it's not even a contest,
strikes him from hip to thigh.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to see that. I just want to see that scene.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
And especially in that Guy Ritchie style with like the quick edits, like you can really get that sense of like impact,
which is interesting because the Guy Ritchie style is actually the like antithesis of the Zack Snyder style, because Zack Snyder is all slow-mo. Yeah. Guy Ritchie is like, when it comes to action, we're gonna speed this thing up quick.
Yeah, which I like both of those.
I love both of them.
Their styles, and they're equally, they do them in such equally epic ways.
They both feel epic.
Like you're saying with like the King Arthur movie. I think that's like kind of one of that and Sherlock Holmes, those are like his most epic feeling ones, but especially King Arthur with like that opening of King Arthur was amazing with like, and he even used slow motion. She doesn't really use that often. But
it's pretty cool. Really good. Yeah. So that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Something I noticed this time, this kind of thing is initially we talked about doing it just because it's interesting to us and would be fun and great to think through. But it actually has been pretty informative to me. Just sitting down to think through who would I have as these characters.
Yeah.
The character that you choose, in this case, like I said, I didn't have a real hard idea of what the story would look like, what the movie would look like. So the choosing of the characters was such a big deal. And if I didn't get the characters or the cast that I was after, that would change the entire movie.
Yeah.
And that's true regardless of whether you have a tight script or not. I mean, you've got to have the tight script to get people on. But once you get people on, that shifts the script.
That's why your final script never looks like the script that they receive from the writer. The director has
casting
huge impact.
director gets a title card. You know, he typically on your movies, your credits, the big long list of everyone's credits doesn't roll until there are several title cards that really get up there. Your director, producer, or DP. There's a few others that'll make the list depending on the show and what the arrangements were, but very often you'll see casting director on that list. Yeah. And it's because it really does just make a huge difference in the movie.
Really, yeah. It really reflects how you, like, when you're looking at it and personally just how you see the characters. Yeah. Like, what's my perspective of Samson, and that like grappling with that in terms of like, well, do I think of him as an Arnold character? Like, is that really what I picture when I see Samson when I'm reading this arc and Judges? Like, is this the picture that they're trying to give? Was kind of, like you're saying, really interesting to kind of go through that and piece that together.
Yeah. I remember hearing a story about the casting director, and it's fresh on the mind since I mentioned Lethal Weapon, but casting director of the original Lethal Weapon with Mel Gibson and the name is slipping me now.
Danny Glover.
Yeah, Danny Glover. That originally wasn't written as a white guy and a black guy. But then, and of course that's an older movie. So very often today when people start talking about diversity in movies, I just, start puking, because what they're not talking about real diversity. They're talking about meeting quotas and, doing stuff arbitrarily. Yeah. But in this case, she's I believe it was a woman that was doing the casting, and she just was like, I like this guy. I think you should do it. They did screen tests. It worked really well. And someone who the director or the producers wouldn't have necessarily thought to choose got chosen, and it turned out to be a really fun pair that then is now an iconic type buddy cop show. And so it makes me think that, like, if you're doing an indie film, there's a real benefit. Like, that would be an easy place where you're like, I'll just find the actors I want, and I want to have that kind of choice. But casting directors really give a lot of attention. Like, they're following talent. They have their own books of people who they're following. I mean, I'm trying to think of actors, and I'm scanning IMDb, looking at movies that I've seen that I like, and trying to see who's there. Yeah. But they make a living of, like, watching and thinking through and creating these,
breaking apart the performances and going, okay,
trying to know what's good for a show.
That's why you get those people from obscurity. Like, they either have seen those little things, or they can look at it and go, okay, this person was in this one little indie film. I guess I have to watch it to see kind of what they're doing. Yeah. And you get people brought
some of them. I remember listening to an interview with one that they would go to local theaters and, just anywhere where they saw people acting.
I mean, Spielberg found somebody at a birthday party. Like, I think it was a bar mitzvah that he went to.
Oh, really?
And he found Alden Ehrenreich there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just like, I like what you're doing. And,
interesting.
And he got him in, and now he's awesome. In. He played Han Solo.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty big.
He played Hobie Doyle.
Hobie Doyle,
the greatest,
way bigger than
the
Han
greatest
Solo.
Of all actors.
All podcasts lead to Hail Caesar.
Yes, they do. We just have to figure out how to work that in every single one.
Yeah, I don't even know that we have to figure it out. It just happens.
It just happens. Yeah. It's I've watched that too many times. But
so it's interesting. The casting process is very, very important to the art of making movies.
Yeah, I'd love to be a casting director. That'd be legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
fun. I love actors, and have a IMDb brain, although it doesn't always come across on the show.
Yeah, you should. You should.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Cast more.
I don't know necessarily how to get in that. If you have any comments, let me know.
If anyone knows how to get in the casting world, then hit a line job.
Imagine you have to break in through other ways.
Yeah, cool. Well, we've done it. We have cast Samson, and we have cast this pod. So thank you for listening to this podcast. Oh, if you have any ideas for future shows, any movies you want us to watch, any comments on how bad our casting choices were.
Yeah, is there an obvious one that's not Jason Momoa that we're missing?
Right.
I don't accept Jason Momoa. He's not on.
Yeah. I also don't know that he could do the serious bit so well. I didn't really like his serious bit in Dune, so.
Or Aquaman.
Or Aquaman. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he's fun when he's being jumpy and
or when he's not talking.
Yeah. I had Henry Cavill as another one that I was thinking. It might be good if you give him long hair.
That would be interesting.
I mean, he has long hair in like The Witcher. And he's a big dude, and he can play that like aloof kind of character. Like even like you watch him in Fallout. Like he's a big dude, and I imagine Samson would fight very similar.
Yeah.
So
that'd be a cool one. I'd like to see that. I'd go to see that.
Me too.
So let us know what you would go to see. Because
Yeah.
we'd be very interested to know what those are.
Let us know.
You can reach out to us at podcast@foxfirefarmhouse.com. Of course, you can find movie recommendations that are probably terribly out of date, but they're on the foxfirefarmhouse.com.
They're there.
You can find what we recommended when we started the website. But listen to our podcast to see what we recommend currently.
Indeed.
Yep. And so this has been episode 19, I believe.
Yep.
And we'll be back with you next week for another episode of Foxfire Farmhouse.
20.